How's it going, guys? It's Noah. I just want to say thank you for all the love and support that you've given us. Caleb, Camden, and I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and go on YouTube, like and subscribe. It should be right here. And then if you also haven't gone, if you listen to the podcast through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, also go to Apple Podcasts if you can. Scroll all the way down. You should be able to rate it or grade it, however you'd like. But again, really appreciate the support, and I hope you enjoy this episode. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Trades and Grades podcast. I'm your host, Noah Wright. Alongside me is Camden Gongwer and Caleb Nemi. We are all back together again. I'm happy we had talked some fantasy football, and I would like to make an announcement. We are now making August, the month of August, redraft month. So every work or home league with your buddies that traditionally you would have done growing up, and still now you think of redraft, and that's just your regular fantasy football. You draft, and then those are your players for the fall. And that's it. And you restart the next year. Hence why they call it redraft. So we're taking a break from Dynasty, and we're going to start doing some redraft analysis because football is right around the corner. We are now starting, I think tomorrow is the first official preseason game, Hall of Fame game. So we finally have football. It might be like third string scrubs, but it's still football. And so I'm really excited. So, yeah, before we know it, we're going to be drafting. I know I set up our home league draft for redraft at the end of August, so it's gonna be here. I mean, it's coming so quickly, so I'm excited, and I'm sure Caleb and Kim are excited. So, yeah, I don't know. I have been so obsessed and focused on Dynasty that now all of a sudden here we are. How you guys feeling about the redraft switch now?
Got to gear up so I don't lose hundreds. Got to win hundreds.
Yeah, Camden's getting his bets ready tomorrow for the third stringers. He's already throwing it out there. So.
I don't bet. I'm a CPA. I know you get murdered on the taxes on those, so you won't see me betting.
Oh, man. That's not how I remember you from college. I remember some
when I used to bet like $1 on the Kings, minus 20 against like whoever.
Screaming at the TV for James Harden to get one more assist.
I'll never forget the first time.
Of course, I want him to get 20 assists. Like, what?
The first time I ever visited Grace.
Yes, this right here.
Oh, go. Oh, my gosh. First time I ever visited Grace. Came as a freshman with Tim Ratza. Bets on some random Kings game. And
Marcus Cousins clutched up.
They're down like 20-something.
They were down 20. I'm not even going to lie. I think I had them like -2 or something.
Yeah. And I think it's over, comes all the way back, wins. I'm like, man, this guy
Dude, I'm sure that
was
$1 too. Like, I didn't
I know.
It was.
But who's betting West Coast games? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no, I was like, that was my first experience at Camden.
The line made sense. The line made sense.
I mean, it worked out, so.
That was back before it was like more popularized in the United States. So I think that was through like a Chinese website or something, you know.
You gotta do
I know you know. If you're also a degenerate, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, I know plenty of people. One person in our home league, specifically Dynasty League, rhymes with Schmamer and Spates, that I'm sure has had his fair share of that. So, but yeah. At any rate, we're gonna into some redraft football today, and we're gonna go over our strategies. Now, I think it's important to preface that when you're in a draft, it's extremely important to be fluid, right? So we're always changing with how the draft's going. So if a lot of people are going for one position, sometimes you guys zig and other people zag, right? So
100% disagree. You do whatever you plan to go in there. I'm just kidding. He's right.
So
I just want to fight. We should start a fight.
Don't trust Pickens.
Just wait. Wait till we get. We'll get some. I'm hoping we'll get some disagreements going.
Let's do a quick poll in the chat for Twitch chat. Yes or no? Should I just make up stuff the whole episode and not be serious? All right, if you could open that chat, please.
Okay, I'm gonna put
voted.
the poll. I just posted on Twitter. So we're gonna go over our strategies. Like I said, preface it where you need to be fluid. But we're gonna go over what our hypothetical ideal situations are, how we think the most successful builds would go in redraft versus dynasty, and we're gonna base this off of what I believe is the most like vanilla or most popular, which is like the ESPN fantasy app. And so they have it as one QB, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. And then, of course, usually you have like kicker and defense, which we won't really get into. But so you don't have a whole lot of position players. I mean, the benches aren't particularly deep as well. So it's important that you hit on these first couple rounds, which we'll get into. So yeah, Caleb, without further ado, why don't you go ahead and kind of break down how you see these redraft leagues?
Yeah, so this year I think is an interesting year for redraft. Last few years, I feel like there's been a lot more depth, like at the top end, than there is this year. Not that like this year, I mean, it's the same players. They're all good NFL players, but
There's
like
rookies, so it's not the same players, and some
yeah,
guys retired. So
that's true. But Julio Jones is still out there, and he is 33. So we'll take
Tom
it.
Brady retired, and he came back.
He came back. You know what? Rob Gronkowski might come back, but anyway.
No,
Never know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, but
Jesus might come back.
Will
come back. We just don't know when. I mean,
this is true.
Should we be drafting Jesus?
Can everyone please change their vote in the Twitch stream? We need Camden to be serious here.
Can we draft Jesus in our fantasy football leagues?
Well, I think that might be Josh Allen, but you know, who am I? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Put in the chat who is
James
most
Harden's
like
not
Jesus
fantasy,
in the
so no, we cannot draft James.
Who's most like Jesus in the NFL? Put it in the chat. All right, thanks.
Oh,
Here we go.
Okay.
George Pickens.
Anyway, so back to what I was saying. If I'm drafting, of course, if I have like a top 2 pick, you're taking either Jonathan Taylor or CMC in my book. After that, I think it's pretty evident that there's a pretty big tier. I'm taking the wide receivers. I'm taking Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, and then Jamar Chase. And then from there, just depends, like usually probably just drafting running back after that and waiting on wide receiver until the second round. Typically in my drafts, I like to get that stud running back in the first round, even though about 60% of them bust. I'm going for it all. You don't win your league unless you have that stud hero RB running back build. But in these particular format, I'm going to be drafting typically in the first 3 rounds. I'm going to be drafting 2 running backs. And then if we only have 1 flex, I am drafting a tight end. I'm getting one of the elite options. So this year that would be I'm not getting Travis Kelce because I'll probably go at the back end of the first, but I'm probably going to get Mark Andrews or Kyle Pitts in the third. To then supplement those running backs that I'm getting. So like
thoughts on Greg Kittle? No.
Greg Kittle. You mean George Kittle?
Sorry, that's an inside joke. His real name to me is Greg, and that will not change.
I don't even know. Camden, okay, for an instance.
My fantasy team name
really
is called the Gregs.
It's true. He's really bad with names. So he'll just make up people's names, and he thinks it's like legit. Like he will literally call him that. And then so like Greg Kittle was one of them. He'd always call George Kittle Greg Kittle. And he was 100% on that. Like you could look it up, and obviously he'd be wrong. But
he had 50 points that night. You think I was worried about whether his name was George or Greg?
So funny. But he does it all the time. So yeah, that's kind of like Then he just started calling everybody Greg.
No,
and my team name is called the Gregs.
The Gregs. Oh man.
It's true.
Well, anyway, what I was gonna say is to answer your question, Camden. George Kittle is my tight end 5, so he is being taken after Kyle Pitts.
Where do you reach at? What round is appropriate for you? What spot?
To like get George Kittle?
Yeah.
In the 4th. Well, with these settings, the 4th. But I think you could probably wait until the back end of the 4th to get him in these settings. I think he's going later this year. I mean, last year he was going at the beginning of the 3rd.
I do too. I think he's a good value pick for me compared to.
So I'm trying to find him on. So I'll be using the Underdog ADP. If you guys don't know what Underdog is, look up Underdog app, and it's all sorts of it's mostly best ball. You can do different picks on there, like we're talking about. You can do like player props and things of that nature, but the biggest thing is best ball. That's the closest thing we can get to like redraft ADP versus like a lot of different apps have dynasty. So I'll be using that today. Right now, Darren Waller's at 47.4 ADP. So I mean, right there at the back of the end of the 4th round. Right at the turn. I'm going to have to go to the second page because I can't. Kittle's not even on here, I don't think. So here we go, 52. So he's going in the front end of the 5th, which I'm surprised he's going after Waller, to be honest.
What's he going on Updog?
Well, you see, That one's actually one of those.
Do
You're talking about
do
those
you know what
Chinese
Updog
websites for
is?
the gambling.
Do you know
I'm
what
good.
Updog
Mm.
is? Ask me what
I'm
it is.
Hey Camden, what's up, dog?
Not a lot, man. What's up with you?
Inner Kawhi Leonard laugh. At any rate, so yeah, he's going at the beginning of the 5th round, and I feel like that is a pretty good value. I'm shocked that he's going after Darren Waller, to be honest.
That's a great value.
Yeah. So if
Great
you're
Kittle
able,
for the win.
yeah. So that's typically my strategy, especially now if we're saying that though. If you could go like, let's say you have the 103. So let's say you get Justin Cooper Cup, first wide receiver off the board, come back around. You can somehow he falls and you get like Aaron Jones in the 2nd. 3rd round, you get Javonte. And then 4th round, you're ending up with Darren Waller or George Kittle. Like, I think that would be a fabulous start to like building out your team.
I also want to preface to say everyone has that guy that's going to reach on quarterbacks. My biggest tip is don't reach on a quarterback in these leagues. I like to wait round 10, honestly, a lot of times. 7 to 10 is my sweet spot on quarterback. I'm very running back heavy. I will not take a wide receiver. The only wide receiver I'd be tempted to take this year would be Cooper Kupp, and that would be – where I'm going to take him would be like last pick of the first pick of the second. So, like, he's not going to be there. I'm going 3 running backs straight off the bat because, to your point, you're not going to win without a running back. You take 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds, you give yourself a lot better odds of having good running backs. And my philosophy always is, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. You get to week 10, what does everyone want? What does literally everyone in your league say? Oh, I need running backs. Everyone has wide receivers that do good. They're easier to pick up. People are more willing to trade you a better wide receiver for a decent running back, I would argue, than when you draft in the initial thoughts. So I like to go running back heavy. I do like having a good tight end option. Although I think this year, outside of Kelsey and Andrews, in redraft leagues, I'm not sold 100% on where Pitts is going at compared to like a Kittle and stuff. So I'll probably wait till the 5th. If some of those guys are falling to the 5th, I might go running back. At that point, wide receiver, tight end, and then maybe go another tight end or running back depending on who's there. I guess that's just my strategy. I got away from that last year. I kind of got sucked in this whole like, you should get Tyreek Hill because he's good. And like some weeks it was great. I scored, like 50 the first week, but then like the week following that, I hit like 3, and all of a sudden it's like, well, my running backs are trash. My wide receiver just put up 3. Like, you're almost screwed to some degree. I feel like the floor is kind of safer with some of those running backs if you get good ones, especially you hit 3 running backs first 3 rounds. And it's easier to hit on wide receivers. I remember Calvin Ridley's breakout year. I was in a league with Noah. I took Josh Allen in the 10th round. That was his breakout year. I took Gibson late, but I went – who else did I – Calvin Ridley was like round 7, Deontay Johnson round 8. Like, if you can get – and he had a breakout year that year too. Just to toot my own horn loud. I don't know. That's my – I would like to gamble on some of – like a Cortland Sutton in round 4 or 5 than I would, to me, like a Devontae Adams in round 2 or something around there. Personally,
I got a question.
I think the drop off for running backs is just not nearly as deep.
So let's say you get to the 3rd round, Camden, and you're doing the strategy, and like you have like Alvin Kamara and James Conner, like the best available running backs left, like just based on like
round 3.
Round 3. We're talking like middle of round 3. But like AJ Brown is still on the board. Like, are you still holding true and you're like, I'm taking like an Alvin Kamara over an AJ Brown? Or like, is there like a certain
I seriously
level?
doubt those are the best running backs available just based on simple mathematics that I just quickly ran in my head, analytical procedures that I've run in my head. I'd probably go AJ Brown at that point, but I just feel like in general, in my experience, there's always 2 or 3 running backs that probably should have gone round 1 or 5 picks higher than they are that are falling big time. Like last year, I think it was DeAndre Swift falling round 3 and 4. Turns out to be a league winner. I mean, if you're drafting him as your 3rd string running back and then he goes off, like, you're in pretty good shape.
trying to think what else. But, like, I mean, you're realistic. JT goes – we'll say JT goes 1, McCaffrey goes 2. After that, you can see Cooper Kupp going 3. If people start going Justin Jefferson, all those guys, if you're in a 10-man league, there's a lot of dang good running backs that are going to be there even at 17, 18 still, I would argue. I mean, last year I got Derrick Henry at 5 in Eckler at 17. And I know, like, Eckler didn't fall to 17 in a lot of drafts, but there's always going to be a guy who falls that late, in my opinion. So kind of going with the fluidity of it. I mean, if everyone goes running backs, then maybe you need to, like, shake it up a little bit. But people reach on quarterbacks in that round. I mean, I'm sure you're going to see like Josh Allen or Mahomes go round 3, especially in, like, redraft leagues. Like, that's where, like, you can kind of really maximize on running backs in those rounds, in my opinion, especially if you play the long game. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think you can.
Yeah.
I think they have way more value later. They kind of appreciate throughout the year, and I would argue also the strat. If you have 3 good, like, really good running backs or solid running backs, not only can you play them in the flex, but if one does go down, as likely happens with running backs, you still have 2 really good running backs. So, I mean, I also think the strategy, in my opinion, of, like, I'm going to pick someone off the waivers. One, it doesn't work if you already have a good team. So, like, there's the potential that I don't know, if you have a Tyreek Hill and they score 50, you're not getting who you want on the waivers, and then he's going to lay 3 the next week, and you don't. To me, the waivers are great, but if you're in a competitive league, sometimes it's hard to get the waivers, and I don't love banking on that just because you never know what guys are going to do. It's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it has to do with the way that your waivers are set up, right? So I'd say traditionally waivers are so that it's inverse of the standings. So the worst teams get the first pick, right? So early on, you could have a good team and you still lose, and you get a good player like Elijah Mitchell last year. You could have got off to a bad start, lost the first 2-3 games maybe, and then your team turns it around or whatever. But I know this year, in our home league I'm going to do it so that we're doing the $100 fab money, because I like that better personally. I think that it's more fair for everybody, and I'm interested to see how people use that money in a redraft, because I think some people are going to be reckless with it and literally just put in $100 on somebody, like, and then other people are going to be more, responsible. But I think it'll make it people more involved. So obviously you have that to think about, right? So if you see a guy like Elijah Mitchell and you want to put in $100 and you're like, this is the guy I want this season, and you do that, okay. Like, you could have lost all your money, or you could have a league winner, some might say, because he had a great season last year and you got him off the waivers, right? So
Tyrion Davis-Price this year.
I'm not sold personally, but yeah. So I guess I'll kind of go into. I mean, yeah, I'll go into, I guess, this transition into how I feel about it. It'll be interesting to see our draft, right? So I'll just go. I mean, Camden and I are in the same home league redraft, and we have been for 3 years now. And
quarterback's going round 1. I'd bet my life on it.
Oh yeah, it is literally a home league. Like, it's all our friends from school. Half of them know
Julio Jones is going round 7 for sure, 100%.
The other half don't have half of a clue, but they still have fun. So I just try to keep it so that the integrity of the game's still there. People aren't dropping players they're not supposed to, all that stuff. But it's usually pretty decent. So like I said, it's gonna be interesting because I feel the same. I feel very similar as Camden. Whereas, like, I want to go really running back heavy this year, and I feel like based off of how I've kind of drafted in the past, and never quite had a strategy going into it. Again, it's gonna be like I might have to be flexible, because if Camden gets a better spot and he snipes on these running backs, like, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
The running backs. He's gonna rig it though. He's the commissioner, so I'm magically gonna be right behind him in standings.
Hey,
and he's gonna send a video of, like, the randomizer, but we're not gonna know how many he ran before that
exactly.
one. Like, he's rigging it. I'm telling you. When it happens, we're coming back here, and
I'll send a video. I'll literally record a video.
How do I know it's the first time?
Because I'll do it 3 times.
What's my completeness check?
Okay, yeah, there you go. So I'll do it I'll randomize 3 times, and I'll take them all on video, and then you'll all see what it is. But at any rate, actually, can you do that on ESPN Fantasy? Can you just randomize it? Does it for you?
I think so,
I can't
actually.
remember.
So
I can't
I'm gonna
remember.
need
I
to
might just
see
do that.
where it's completely blank though. Like it can't already be randomized and then you press
That's
it. You know what I
true.
mean?
That's true.
It has to
It should.
be like I'm pretty
I
sure it's
think
just
it'll
like
know
or
if
who joined or something. Boom, randomized. We're done.
it should notify you in like the recent transactions, like this was randomized or commissioner made a mistake. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Alright.
We'll see. We'll see. But at any
We'll
rate,
see.
I do feel like running back heavy is the way to go, and getting one of those tight ends early, like we're talking about, like Kelsey or Andrews and Pitts. I've seen is tough because he doesn't have a great quarterback. I wish I would have gone back and looked at how Mariota's done with his tight ends in the
He's
past.
done great with Delaney Walker. Like absolutely great.
Was he?
He's
I
had
felt like
Delaney
I saw
Walker
something
had 3
about that.
seasons where he was like one of the best tight ends, which is why a lot of
So-
people are raising Pitts so high. I think he has
Yeah.
upside. I'm just not willing to pay for it in a redraft league. At Dynasty, absolutely, because it's a matter of time. He's 21. But
Right.
in
Well,
a redraft league, when I can get Kittle at 5, to me, like I'd rather get another.
Yeah.
I'd rather get Joe Mixon.
I mean, okay, so you're getting Kyle Pitts. So I'll give you, and when Caleb said earlier, he said, here's the best available running backs, and you're at the end of the third round. This was, or like middle of the third round. He was actually like, we're looking at, I don't know if Caleb was looking at this, but it'd be
Yeah,
pretty
I'm looking
ironic
at
if he
someone.
wasn't underdog ADP in at pick 28. So like that's middle of the third round, pick 4 in the third round or whatever. Alvin Kamara's there, and then AJ Brown's right there, and then you have Keenan Allen right after him, Pittman, Mike Williams, Josh Allen, DJ Moore. So there's a big string of wide receivers.
So that's where
Not until James Conner at pick 34. So you're almost at the end of the third, and then Travis Etienne is there at the end of the third as well.
I wouldn't mind Travis Etienne. Where's Leonard Fournette at? Out of curiosity.
He's at literally the end of the second. He'd be pick 24 basically.
In my experience with redraft leagues, nothing goes like these because they're redraft leagues. And I mean, Josh Allen's going to go, and guys that are going at the end of the second on these are going to get bumped all the way to that third. And you're going to
think it'll be different. Yeah, I agree.
This one out.
And this is underdog, which I feel like most people doing these know what they're doing. And so it's gonna be different. But that is what we can use at the moment. So, like I said, this is what I'm going to use for the, would you rather here later on to get some conversation going. But I do think that getting a tight end early, getting those running backs, and then just trying to hit on those. I mean, you're talking about, let's say you go, let's say we'll go hypothetical. You're at the end of the first, right? You get Travis Kelce. You turn around, you get Gibson or DeAndre Swift. All right, so now you're coming back around, and then you'd be at pick. What would that be? So let's say you're at 11, and then you turn around, and now you're at 14, and then somebody help me with math. Is that 31 then? No, 33. You're at pick 33. That's the end of the third. No, I'm actually
I feel like
35.
39 or yeah, I don't know.
35, end of the third, and you're looking at. I mean, Travis Etienne, James Conner there. So let's say
James Conner actually in the third round. It's not terrible if he's your third string running back with the season he had last year. I mean, it's not like a sexy pick, but I mean, he went off last year.
Here's where I'm going with this. I'm going tight end first, right?
A rookie that they drafted in like the 6th round.
Right. So here I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead. I picked Travis Kelce first, so that's your tight end one. Then you got DeAndre Swift, and then you get either Etienne or Connor, whichever you want. We'll go Connor for experience. He's a safety pick, even though Etienne probably has higher upside because Connor had so many touchdowns last year. He's got to regress. But we'll do Connor anyway. So now you go back around, and there's chances that Etienne can be right there because he's right around the turn. So we'll just say, hypothetically, and Breece Hall's right there. So you know what? We'll just say Etienne's gone.
I don't hate that either.
So now you have Connor, you have Swift, Connor, Breece Hall, Travis Kelce, right? Okay, so that's through 4 rounds. So you get to the end of the 5th round, and you're looking at pick, what's that going to be, like 59 or so. This is picking from the 11th spot, so about pick 59. We'll get into this next week. 59. Here's your wide receivers at this point. Darnell Mooney, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Amari Cooper, according to this, Adam Thielen. I mean, if your wide receiver one's Darnell Mooney or Amari Cooper, you turn around because remember you're on the turn. You get Darnell Mooney and Amari Cooper. That's your wide receiver 1 and 2, and you just got Breece Hall, James Conner, DeAndre Swift, and Travis Kelce. I mean, come on, like that's
where's Cortland Sutton falling on these? I'm a big Cortland Sutton guy.
I think he's inside the top 50. I don't think you could get him there. Well, let me just do a quick search.
Yeah,
here.
He's gone really high. He is going off at pick 35, so he's in the 3rd round.
Wow,
jeez. I mean,
where's Judy at?
Again, though, we have to realize these guys know what they're doing. Yeah, that's a lot of hype and the people we're playing with.
Let's be honest.
Know about
Cortland Sutton's not getting picked by your friends who that's not a sexy pick. No one's picking him if I don't know.
Unless you listen to this, which they might listen to this, and then they will. So
no,
we should just start throwing things out there.
Listening. They should be.
Hey, listen, guys. Michael Thomas, 2nd round. All right.
We love Lamar Jackson in the 1st round. Please take him.
You got
Cam Akers 1st round too.
We're going quarterbacks every pick in the 1st round.
Kenny,
if you miss out, you're probably going to lose your fantasy league.
Allen Lazard, 3rd round sleeper. Kenny, you got that? You want him. Wide receiver 1 for Green Bay. So at any rate, I mean, you're looking at those guys as your wide receiver 1, 2. Then after that, it's just kind of like, you're just trying to find guys that scream value. I mean, we can keep going down the list here, I guess, suppose. So you went around 59.
Where's Deontay Johnson falling at? I assume he's higher.
Yeah, he's 46.
So I mean, he could get faded easily. I don't hate that.
I agree.
I don't know if I don't know. My goal is to go 3 straight running backs, and then assuming the tight ends are on the board, like a Kittle, take one of them. Deontay Johnson can easily be there around 5. You also have the thing where people just scramble, right? Someone takes a QB in round 3. Everyone's like, oh, I'm missing quarterback. Someone else takes one, someone else takes one, someone else takes one. Same thing happens with tight ends normally. Like an entire round is just dedicated to people taking quarterbacks and tight ends.
Yeah. Some
of these guys could – I don't think it's unreasonable that some of these guys slide.
Yeah. Yep. And
if you're getting them at 5, 6, like Deontay Johnson's a machine.
Yeah. I agree. So it's gonna be exciting. Like I'm happy. I'm ready for it. There's gonna be I'm going through this from the back of the 1st round. I think it's such a great spot to be in. You could go early tight end stud right there, get 3 running backs, and I still feel good about the wide receivers here at the end. And like we talked about, I mean, some guys could slip. I mean, there's
pick one high upside. You know who I love as a Juju Smith. He is love him.
Middle of the
high value
5th round.
Like, dude, that is an awesome. I mean, he could be, in my opinion, I think he could be a wide receiver 1 if stuff goes well for him and he's shades of old Juju.
Yeah,
I even think his floor is pretty safe at that spot too. Like with Mahomes throwing it to him, he's good. I think his floor is. I think he's one of the best value picks. If I had to pick one guy who I love the value the most, he would be in my top 3 probably.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about Cam, and you go 3 running backs in a row. You get, George Kittle in the 4th round, and then you turn around and you get Juju, or right now DK, and you turn around. I mean, that's a pretty solid start to the draft. So
yeah, I like Derrick Henry. I love Derrick Henry at where he's been going too. If you're sitting around 5. Yeah, you could see Derrick Henry fall to you in some drafts. I mean, Eckler's going to be in the middle, you could argue. It'd just be interesting to see where Cooper Kupp – I think Cooper Kupp's going to get an early pick, and rightfully so. To me, he's going to be just as consistent as last year, in my opinion.
Okay, so
I'm not in love with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in redraft leagues, personally, at where they're going.
Yeah, I tend to agree because it's almost like you know what you're going to get with those guys. I feel like more or less like they're probably going to be wide receiver 1s, but they're not going to be like you're buying exactly what they are. Like, you know what I mean? The upside, I don't feel
it's
like
really high.
As crazy, as the upside.
3 points is the minimum, though.
Of maybe maybe like a Derrick Henry, where like he could
15,
be he was going like 25, 26 points per game last year until his foot,
And he has 50-point games sprinkled in every year. I mean, like, yeah.
So did Jamar Chase, I guess. But like, I know what you're saying. Like, I think Jamar Chase.
The positional value is higher at running back at that spot.
Yeah.
Like the drop off after running back is just.
It's got like your CMC, Derrick Henry, JT.
Where's Aaron
I like
Jones?
that better.
I don't know. I just love going like a Eckler, Henry, someone like that, and then following it up with like, I don't know where Aaron Jones is going, but like I kind of think Gibson or like Swift, like, dude, if you pair two of those guys together, you're gonna be in a pretty good spot.
And so Aaron Jones is going higher than I would probably expect him to go right now. He's going in the second round, about midway through the second. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's appropriate.
Where's Gibson going? I could see Gibson. I don't know why. I just have the feeling he's going to get faded in a lot of drafts, personally.
I think
definitely,
and I don't think he should, but I feel like he will be. It's kind of like Swift. Like, did any of us have a great reason to fade Swift last year? Like in one of mine, he fell to like the 5th round or like just like something, gosh. And like multiple ones of mine. And
here we go. Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, Cameron. We're gonna, you're right about DeAndre Swift. We're gonna segue because I just found this. We're gonna segue into our segment here. Would you rather? All right. Would you rather this player or that player in ADP? Right. So they're gonna be right next to each other or very similar. In redraft, would you rather
who have
this
I
player or that
drafted
player?
so far at this point?
So
we got to be fluid. Remember?
True. Now we'll just go in a vacuum. So your guy that you just mentioned, Antonio Gibson, is going at the middle of the 7th round. He's going to pick 77.
Antonio Gibson?
Yes, bro, have you not been following fantasy football, bro?
Okay, so listen.
I'm selling my soul.
Pick 77.
Antonio
Gibson. Or this wide receiver who is going 2 picks in front of him. From Green Bay, Allen Lazard.
I'm not going to answer. That's disrespectful to Antonio Gibson.
Allen Lazard.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they drafted Brian Robinson. Reports out of camp are that he's running with the first stringers. Antonio Gibson's with second string, and he will not be getting the catches because J.D. McKissick is still there. So there's absolutely no upside for Antonio Gibson unless an injury happens, and that's not why I draft.
That's fine. Here's the deal. I'm going running back, tight end, wide receiver, running back. Then I'm taking – if he's falling that far, I'm not going to, like, go too early, but, like, I'll reach a little bit on that. I'm not going to lie. He's my 4th-string running back. Ooh. Oh, no. I'll have to play him in my flex when all my other running backs are on bye. Like, oh, no.
Hopefully
he'll only score 20 for me.
True. So, when I look at this, and you look at this is just crazy to me. Last 2 years, Antonio Gibson finished running back 13 in PPR, running back 12 in PPR. And he's going as running back, I don't even know what. Because I can't count. He's going after AJ Dillon, and
bro, we just get too caught up in general with like, oh, he's running with the second team. Like
he's
cool,
literally
man. Like,
in the same tier.
Antonio Gibson, you think he's not going to get the carries?
He's in the same tier right now as Miles Sanders. He's literally 4 picks from Miles Sanders.
He's
immensely
better than Miles Sanders. I honestly, I might take. This is a closer one for me, but Aaron Jones and to me is similar to like Antonio Gibson. I don't know, man.
That's a hot take right there.
That is a hot take. Not everyone on this panel endorses the hot take.
You better take Antonio Gibson fast in the leagues you're in with me, is all I'm saying.
Well, you're gonna get him. You're gonna get all the Antonio Gibson shares.
I'm having all the shares for sure.
No, but listen. I don't so much agree with the Aaron Jones and Antonio Gibson take, but I agree if this is where you're getting Antonio Gibson, that is an extreme value because even with J.D. McKissick last year, he still managed to have 52 targets, and
that's at the back end of his year, like 20 points
decent,
like every game for like the last 6.
Right, and and that's still decent enough. I mean, if you have J.D. McKissic and he's still getting those, like, I'm cool with that. Like, he's getting that PPR value. It's decent, right? He's not going to be Najee Harris or John Dewey Swift where he's getting peppered with the ball, but he's still getting that PPR value. And he had over 1,000-yard rushing season. He had 7 touchdowns, which his first year he had 11. So he regressed, but he still moved up a position, which to me is like, okay, he had more opportunities to rush the ball, but it wasn't – people were scared that Brian Robinson's going to take these goal line, right? It's a lot of goal line stuff. Okay, well, even if he gets back to 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns even, like, which is – he's still regressing.
Round 7? Yeah.
In round 7, he's still going to finish as a top 24 running back
RB2?
easily.
Yeah,
he's going to finish as probably running back 16 or 17 if Brian Robinson gets those touchdowns. J.D. McKissic was already there last year. Literally, the only difference is you have a guy who's one of the worst running backs at Alabama in recent years, and now you're going to go ahead and fade him just because this big bruiser comes in who, I mean, he couldn't get ahead of anybody. Now, granted, Alabama has a great running back group, and they have for years, but he's one of the worst to come out lately. He's not swaying me from getting Antonio Gibson in the 7th round. At that point, he's got a top 24 upside. He could be, again, a running back. I'd say probably 10 to 14, and most likely somewhere in the middle, run back 2s. And to give him in the 7th round, I mean, that's just like handing you on a silver platter. Like, here is a way to win your fantasy football championships, in my opinion. That is what I think he offers. I'm not scared of Brian Robinson.
I'm not either.
I think he could have those. I mean, he's a bigger body. He might get those red zone touches, but it's not like Antonio Gibson was scoring, like an insane amount of touchdowns last year. It's not like, to be honest, I'd be more scared if Brian Robinson had gone to Arizona, because James Conner had 15 touchdowns last year. 15, and now – but for some reason, everybody's scared that Antonio Gibson's not going to get 7 touchdowns that he had last year. It's like, I don't know. I just pump the brakes on that, take the value where you can get it, and so forth and so on. So we'll move on to the next one for the sake of time. But
no, if you snipe me on him, I'll literally kill you. I'll drive to your house.
Well, I've foreseen
just send George Pickens.
We'll just first off, I mean, side note, George Pickens looks ridiculous right now in training camp. So just take that for what it's worth. All right. Let's see here. How can I create controversy? We'll go to back to the first page. Okay. This one I believe should be unanimous, but we'll see what people have to say because there's people who like running backs in this panel. So at pick 44, so it's like right towards the end of the 4th round, you have Cam Akers. At pick 47, couple picks after him, Deontay Johnson.
I'm not big on Cam Akers at all.
Deontay
Johnson's a target machine. And at that point in my drafts, I've already drafted 2 or 3 running backs. So I don't need Cam Akers. I'd rather get my boy in the 7th.
Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about Cam Akers at the end of the 4th or middle of the 7th, Antonio Gibson. Caleb, who do you like better?
Oh, for sure, Antonio. If you know you're
who do you like straight up between the 2?
That's rough. I think
me, it's Gibson. I mean, I feel like I don't need.
I think the thing with Cam Gibson though is McVay, even though the hype around Henderson's like right now, he's like they came out today and said they were going to split carries. Like the way that McVay runs his offense, like there's a bell cow. I still also think Akers is more valuable because he's going to be getting those 20 touches a game. Can't say the same thing for Gibson, but I do think if you know that you can get Gibson 3 rounds later, like if that was like a for sure thing, which I know the ADP is saying that way now. If you're in the draft with Camden, you're gonna have to beat him to like the 5th round to get Antonio Gibson.
Which at the 5th, like, dude, 3rd and 4th round, depending on where I'm at.
But
ADP, bro. ADPs are great and all, but sometimes the more I go away from my gut, the worse I do. The more I might well, this guy scored 12 touchdowns, and now he's competing. Like, bro,
Right.
the older I get and the more that I like, when I was in like 7th grade, I would come home and pick Andre Johnson because I just talked about him the day at school, and then he'd have the best season of his career that year in fantasy. Like, I don't know. Evaluating is great, but sometimes you got to go with your gut. And I'll be going with my gut this year. I didn't do it last year. I learned my lesson hard. I only did one league where I did my running back strategy. That was by far the best team I had. Wasn't even close. All my other leagues were just dumpster fires because I was taking Tyreek Hills and crap in the first round.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I personally would take Gibson. I think I'd take Gibson straight up personally. I'm very not a fan of Cam Akers. I said that on the running back cells. I hate Cam Akers respectfully. And I just had to put that out there. Not as a person. Not as a person.
I love him as a man.
100% endorse that statement.
This is strictly fantasy football. Because he is far more successful than I probably will ever be because he's playing football at the NFL level. So that's beyond the point, right? So we just don't like him at
He's not even
level.
human.
And for him to have come back from that injury, as quick as he did last year was fantastic.
He was eating newborn babies. I've seen reports. That's how he came back so fast from that injury.
Wow.
Something
New
about
type of herbal
or something like that. I don't know. There's like an episode on South Park on it if you want to do some medical research. I forget who's eating the babies, but watch that episode of South Park and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, at any rate. So, yeah, I mean, he came back from that injury quickly, but I'm not sold on him. So, I mean, for value's sake, Tony Gibson. Straight up, I'd still probably taking Tony Gibson. And for this pick, I'm 100% taking Deontay Johnson. I mean, that's such a drop-off there from Breece Hall to Cam Akers because that's the next running back available after Breece Hall is Cam Akers. And then after Cam Akers, the next one available is like David Montgomery and J.K. Dobbins, which if you're going to take an
I don't hate either.
Back,
I would rather those guys either, honestly, personally.
If you're going to take an injured running back,
especially Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins.
Dude, wait, Dobbins is going 4th?
So, no. J.K. Dobbins right now is going at the beginning of the 6th. Just pick 62.
I'm going to have some hard decisions to make in the 5th and 4th round, which running backs.
Yeah.
I might just draft all running backs. F it. Y'all are going to be hurting come week 8.
Camden's
I'll give up my entire team for Antonio Gibson.
Camden's bench is better than most people's starting running backs.
Dude, facts. And you know what? You know how many trades I'll be able to make because of that? Whatever I want.
True.
I'll be the one telling the prices.
So
you're giving me Jamar Chase now for Antonio Gibson, son.
All right, we're gonna do one last one. I'll try to find one on the first page as well, towards the beginning. Okay, so we'll do one that's again, like we were talking about earlier, in between that running back and wide receiver. And I feel like this is interesting because of this player situation. So at the end of the second round, you have Tyreek Hill. And we're talking about Tyreek Hill, came in that strategy last year. We get some of those stud wide receivers early, didn't like it. Tyreek Hill or the very next pick at the end of the second, Javonte Williams. What are you guys going with?
Javonte.
Dude, I'm not big on Javonte at that spot. But I'm picking neither one of them. I'm going home.
So,
dude, I don't care what anyone says. You can pull up Tua's stats. You watch Tua play, he is so freaking bad. He's like Ben Simmons trying to throw a fish in a pond or the ocean. Like, he can't even get the fish in the pond, bro. He's terrible. I watched him last year because I had Jalen Waddle, and I'm just like, this dude is terrible. The only reason his percentage is so high is because he throws like 3-yard passes.
His ADOT's low.
Gesicki's right there, 5 yards out, curl out.
Yeah, cool, bro. You ever watch him try to throw a 20-yard pass? I dare you. It's like, sorry, Peyton,
did you guys see that?
It's like watching the final minutes of Phillip Rivers, like 2-minute drives where you can find like a 5-minute video on YouTube of him throwing interceptions with like a 1-score game with 2 minutes left. It's just like, what is this guy doing?
Did you not see the video of, it was like a couple months ago, of them just like practicing, and Tua throws it, and it's a Tyreek, and he underthrows him by a mile. He's like turn around and run
he's
backwards
horrible.
to catch it, and the Dolphins posted it, and everybody just roasts them because everyone's talking about how
Tyreek
Hill's
not helping, saying like, "Oh, he's better than Patrick Mahomes." Like, shut up, bro. No one believes you. Like he knows how bad he is, and he's trying to make it better.
Like, man,
and
this guy's making really it worse.
Guys. Like Tyreek Hill he's a great player individually. No way am I picking him at where he's going with Tua, Ben Simmons back there. Like, give me a break.
So Tyreek Hill or Javonte Williams.
Like I said, I'm going home. I'm not picking Javonte Williams.
You gotta
there,
choose
but
one.
If I had to
choose one. Would you rather?
Screw you guys. I'm not picking
Williams
one, bro.
Tyreek
I'm trading my pick. I'm deferring. I'd rather have neither of them.
Why are you off Javonte this year, Camden?
I think he splits carries a lot more. I think he gets more than he did last year. He's awesome. I'd rather have a guy who's not splitting as much carries. If he was like a bell cow, I'd 100% be in on that. But I just think he splits. Like what changed in his situation? I guess that
the coaching staff
has bumped him
a
up.
better quarterback, more efficient touches near the goal line.
Better offense, different coaching staff.
That's fair.
Gordon's a year older.
He just splits
I do agree,
to
though.
me as much. Like, I actually really like him. He's a guy that I drafted and traded.
Yeah.
Dynasty-wise, he's great. Like, he's going to get the touches eventually. To me, when I look at my gut just says, like, he's going to split it. And, like, he doesn't have the upside to me of 30-point games, right? At that spot compared to, like, the other running backs, like a Joe Mixon.
It would be harder to get, probably, yeah.
Like, I'd rather have Joe Mixon at that spot than Javonte. Personally, I think Joe Mixon does well again.
Right. Well, and he's going, like, just to be in a second, so you probably wouldn't get him there. But here's the running backs after Javonte Williams by, like, a pick or a couple picks is Leonard Fournette and then Nick Chubb are right behind him. So those are, like, not reaches. Then Alvin Kamara would be, like, 4 or 5 picks after, which would be, according to ADP, slightly more of a reach. But personally,
dude, I don't love these running backs in this tier.
I would take Alvin Kamara definitely over Javonte. I think I'd take Javonte over Nick Chubb, though.
100%.
And Leonard Fournette is
even if
pretty
Deshaun
close.
Watson gets suspended indefinitely.
No, especially because the offense will be duty. So
it'll be all him. He'll get every carry.
But then just load the box and then make
they still split a lot. I don't love him because they split it too. It's more than I would like.
Kareem Hunt's there.
Nick Chubb might be the most talented running back in the NFL, but he's not touching him in fantasy.
Might be the best pure runner. Team of like all-time jail kickers. They need to like trade for Tyreek Hill, honestly.
Yeah, I mean they got Kareem Hunt. Now they got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, they got
Ray Rice coming back.
Watson.
Yeah,
Kareem Hunt.
Myles Garrett hit someone with a helmet.
Yeah, Myles Garrett should be in jail.
Resign Ray Lewis.
They need to trade for Pickens immediately.
Man, that team would be an absolute menace.
Dude, they're making a team of menaces. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Cleveland menaces.
I would not want to play the Cleveland Browns. My girlfriend, if I played in the NFL, not coming to that game. Sorry, babe, you might get hurt at this game. Where Deshaun Watson might come to you at halftime, and then Kareem Hunt's gonna kick you for not doing what he wants.
Well, yeah, it's just don't come to Cleveland, I guess. But I mean, I'll probably end there. I don't think I'll do another ADP one just because of time limit. But yeah, next week we'll come back. We'll have a live mock draft, and we'll be able to show off what we've been talking about. We'll see how many running backs Cam and I can get before there's no more left.
Listen, let's do a mock draft. No, let's just do an actual draft, but like the ones where just like you don't have to do the lineup.
Yeah,
like
we should do a best
for you.
Yeah,
because I know I can make a better team than Nimi. Like I'll put money on it.
Do what now?
Wager going?
You want to do a best ball league next week? We can do a best ball draft.
Yes, best ball league next week, but it's redraft. Like it's just what? Like,
yeah.
A redraft.
That's what best ball is usually.
I'll beat you.
Yes, and I'll put money on it.
I'll put $10 on it.
Easy done.
Wait, so we doing this on Underdog?
Easy, $10 I've ever won.
We can just do it on Sleeper.
Sleeper, yeah. You probably you were saying $10 a week, right?
No, not $10 a week. $10 for the whole season.
Oh, he's scared.
Oh my gosh!
You heard it.
Hey, I don't make the dollars of an accountant, so chill.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right.
Maybe someday.
Well,
I was just
that's
kidding.
what we
I
got
actually
for
probably $10 a week is too much, but I just knew you'd say no, so I just wanted to like rile you up a little bit.
Oh my gosh! All right, that's all we got for this week. We'll be back next week with some wagers on the line. We'll be doing a best ball redraft.
Let's get a poll going. Who's going to draft a better team, me or
Yeah,
Nimi?
we'll post it out. We'll throw it out there. Who's gonna create the better team with money on the line? So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll be back next.